thanks for joining us again today. We have some new books that were purchased with our LSTA grant. If you remember, we had some certain sections that needed updating, so we were going to show you what we've got this time around. The first one is Windows 11 All-in-One for Dummies. Of course, one of the great for dummies in this new Windows edition. This one, the Practical Home Theater, A Guide to Video and Audio Systems by Mark Fleishman. This is the 20th anniversary edition. It tells you how to set up your home audio and video systems. Watercolor Portraits, 15 step-by-step paintings for iconic faces in watercolors by Nellie Andrew. That's really cool. It's got, of course, all the famous people if you want to recreate their portraits. Next one, NOLO's Guide to Social Security Disability, Getting It and Keeping Your Benefits by David Morton. This is one of the NOLO guides. It's really terrific. They have all kinds of information. Of course, this is the 11th or the newest edition. Next one, Bitcoin for Dummies by Peter Kent and Tyler Bain. Of course, unravel the mysteries of buying Bitcoin. Use Bitcoin for purchases or as an investment. Know how to keep your Bitcoin safe. Okay, another computer software, Java for Dummies by Barry Bird. Understanding basic Java building blocks. Write programs with objects and classes. Use the new features in Java 17. The Anti-Racism Handbook, Practical Tools to Shift Your Mindset and Uproot Racism in Your Life and Community by Thema Bryant and Edith Arrington. Nice little cool one, How to Write a Book, The Beginner's Guide to Writing a Nonfiction Book for Fun and Profit. He tells you how to get that published on Amazon as well, so that's cool information. The last one, The Doubter's Guide to World Religions by John Dixon, a fair and friendly introduction to the history, beliefs, and practices of the Big Five, which is really cool. Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. So that's a great reference book. And next we have some graphic novels, or actually books that are illustrated. We've compiled all our adult graphic novels into one section that's in the fiction near the romance collection. So if you'd like to come by and look, we've purchased a bunch more that Melissa's going to tell you about.
The first one we have is a fiction. It's actually a manga. It's called Alice in Borderland. This is volume 1 from Haru Aso, and I believe you said it's also a Netflix series. So if you're interested in manga, or you want to check that out before watching the show, take a look at it. Then we've got Hard Struck, a graphic novel from Cody Anderson. Military personnel are more likely to be exposed to significant traumatic events than the general population. Although they are trained for the rigors of battle, this cannot always prepare them for the psychological effects experienced in a combat environment. So this just takes a look at the story of a combat soldier and dealing with the effects of PTSD and everything else that they deal with when coming home from war. All right, this is another nonfiction one. It's called Heretics, The Wondrous and Dangerous Beginnings of Modern Philosophy. That's from Stephen Nadler and Ben Nadler. Then we've got this one called The Incredible Nellie Bly, journalist, investigator, feminist, and philanthropist, from Luciana Simino, Sergio Algonzino, with an introduction by David Randall. So this is just sort of the history of Nellie Bly. And if you've never seen a graphic novel, this is sort of what it is. It looks like a comic book, basically. It's just in a long form, and it's a really interesting way to tell a story. So
it reads really quickly, too.
Yeah, they're really quick to go through. This one is really interesting. It's called Why She Wrote, a graphic history of the lives, inspiration, and influence behind the pens of classic women writers. So people like Jane Austen, the Bronte sisters. This gives you a little bit of background on some of those women and why they wrote. Then we have On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century from Timothy Snyder. It's illustrated by Nora Krug. This is the graphic edition of that nonfiction book. This one is called Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Done by Harold Scheider and Eric Powell.
That's a true crime novel.
Yeah, true crime. Ed Gein is
Nasty.
like a sort of infamous killer, so that's about his crimes. Leonard Cohen, On a Wire, from Philippe Girard.
Yeah, it's kind of biographical.
Yeah, Montreal icon Leonard Cohen, just in a biography of him and his career in music. Okay. Then we've got this book called Quarantine Comics, a memoir of life in lockdown from Rachel Smith. So very timely, just reflections on everything that's happened the past couple of years. This one looks really interesting. It's called Pinball, and it's a graphic history of the silver ball and pinball machines, all about that development. This is actually one of the No Fear Shakespeare books, which are actually pretty popular, but this is the graphic novel version of Hamlet. So for those of you who don't know, No Fear Shakespeare, the traditional books have the traditional text on one page and sort of a translation, a modern day English translation on the opposing page. This one, however, I think just has sort of the more modern translation in a graphic novel format. So you or your teens are having to look into Shakespeare, maybe check that one out. Then we have Murder Book, a graphic memoir of a true crime obsession from Hilary Fitzgerald Campbell. And last but not least, Factory Summers from Guy Delisle. This is a biography or a memoir from him.
Okay, so if you like the look of any of those, or you just want to try out a graphic novel to see what they're all about, and from what you've heard, like I said, they are in a separate section. We have graphic novels in the junior juvenile section and in the teens, but these are a little more sophisticated, and so they're geared towards the adults, and they'll be in the fiction section next to the romance collection. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.